Been intently studying and researching constitutional law since 1990. He has studied in particular Pennsylvania's history and law. He has strongly defended the individual rights of himself and others through litigation, education, writings, and lawful activism. In 1994, he helped establish the Pennsylvania Committee of Correspondence to educate and network Pennsylvanians to actively reclaim our rights. He is an active member of the Communities Alliance for Responsible Eco-Farming, the Pennsylvania Independent Consumers and Farmers Association, and the Pennsylvania Campaign for Liberty. It is an honor for me to introduce to you Mr. William Taylor Reil.
Lisa, you've done an excellent job in organizing this, but really it's a matter of us getting organized and networking if we're going to reduce the government that is so out of control. Liberty is not free, or as it said, freedom is not free. Our founding fathers understood that. They fought and died for us. But unfortunately, many of those in government today have not even read the documents that formed this government.
Amen.
In my experience over the last 20 years, I would estimate that 95 to 98% of those in government have not even read the state constitution. How many have read the state constitution? Good for you. We need to get this back into schools so our children are educated on the subject. The Pennsylvania Constitution was signed on September 28, 1776. And yet, we don't celebrate that date. I, in fact, had drafted a law, a proposed law, years ago, and I titled it Act 1776. It had three parts, and still does. First, to celebrate that glorious day that, in fact, immortalized the freeing of this country and the forming of new government here in Pennsylvania. The second part was to put it back into schools, every school, and the hardest part is to require everyone in government, everyone, to pass a comprehensive exam on the Constitution before they can do anything. Well, let's all get involved and push that through. And if nothing more, have the debate. And anybody who doesn't vote for it, send them home. Benjamin Franklin made a profound statement. In fact, it's carved in the walls at the Capitol. It says, "Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety, deserve neither liberty or safety." I suggest that those in the federal government, and frankly those in the state government and the local governments, have in fact given away our rights to secure a little bit of their safety and given away our freedom and liberty. We need to help them understand that the Pennsylvania Constitution and our history here in this state is so powerful if we'll just simply read it and understand it. Let's make that a project for this year. Now, we're here today to complain about runaway spending. And in fact, I would ask everyone to write to our new president and ask him, as a professor of constitutional law, where in the federal Constitution do you find what he's doing? Any of it. There's only three things in the federal Constitution that money can be spent for. One, for the national debt. That's the real debt, not what they're creating now. Secondly, for the common defense. And thirdly, for the general welfare. Not specific welfare, general welfare. That doesn't mean bailing out a bank, doesn't mean bailing out the motor industry. It doesn't mean giving anything to somebody in specific terms, but general welfare. We need to help those in government understand that the Constitution, in fact, is a sacred document. In fact, I was moved by Chief Justice Roberts when he confirmed the fact that the Constitution is not a living document, it's a legal document. And as such, it's to be interpreted and understood in the language in the day it was written. Not as those would have you believe today, or foreign decisions, or foreign laws, but American law. How many of you read The Creature from Jekyll Island? It's a great source to understand what happened in 1913, actually started in 1910. But you need to look a little bit earlier. The war between the states gave those who would steal power a great opportunity, and they took advantage of it. And if you look at history, particularly here in Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania Bar and the American Bar Association have been at the heart of the perversion of our country right from the beginning. Think about it. There is no way that any of this could have happened if the courts and the attorneys and the judges had been operating according to the law. If in fact we had a problem, we'd simply go to court that's following the law, and the truth would come out, and the decision would be made by the jury, and you would in fact be made whole, or those who are violating the law would be sent to jail. But that's not what happens, is it? Oftentimes you go to court, and amazingly you lose even though the truth and the law is on your side. But in reality, all of those judges and all of those attorneys and everyone in government, as has been stated earlier, take an oath of office. It's Article 6, Section 3 of the Pennsylvania Constitution, and it says, "I do solemnly swear or affirm to support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth, and discharge the duties of my office with fidelity." But how many of those in government did I say who hadn't read the Constitution? 95 to 98%? How in the world can you expect someone to support and obey and defend something if they haven't even read it?
They need to pass bills.
In fact, what kind of job would allow somebody to continue that job who hasn't read their job description? Article 1, Section 1 of the Pennsylvania Constitution says, "All men are born equally free and independent and have certain inherent and indefeasible rights, among which, not all but among which, are life, liberty of acquiring, possessing, and protecting property and reputation, and pursuing your own happiness." When you work, you acquire property. Isn't that true? And you have a right, an inherent, because you're human, a God-given inherent right to protect that property. Possess means to use and dispose of at your will, not somebody else's will, your will. So let's use the Constitution to ensure that when we work, our property is protected. And we can in fact spend it as we choose to spend it, not as government chooses to spend it. Liberty is freedom of an individual to use and enjoy his faculties in all lawful ways. Acquire useful knowledge, marry, establish a home, bring up children, worship God according to the dictates of his own conscience, live and work where he chooses, engage in any common and ordinary work, occupation of life, enter into any contract which may be proper, necessary, and essential to carry out the foregoing purposes. In general, to enjoy these privileges long recognized the common law as essential to the orderly pursuit of happiness by free people. That's a definition from Black's Law Dictionary of liberty. You have liberty to do pretty much what you want to do as long as you don't hurt somebody, damage somebody else's property, or violate somebody else's rights. That's pretty broad, but that doesn't mean the government can tell you how to flush your toilet, but they're trying to do it, don't they? Or how tall your grass is, or what color your home is, and so on and so on.